I just want to come and make a video about some of the struggles that I've been going through mentally and physically, emotionally, all of the things. I want to be very vulnerable. I know that there's a lot of couples. I know that there's a lot of women who feel like they're alone in this constant battle. And I don't want anybody to feel like they're alone or that there's not other people like them, because, it's not really talked about. So my name is Sarah, for those who don't know me. I'm 30 years old, and I just want to start from the beginning of my story. Just in case there's anybody who has the same problems I did for as long as I have. So I got my first period probably when I was in 7th grade. And for the first, I want to say 5 years, they were okay. Like, they felt like normal periods, like they were fine. And then once I got into like high school, so maybe a couple years, so 2 years for like regular. And then once I got into high school, they were bad. Like, the cramps were terrible. I was always in pain. I was crying. Nothing, no Tylenol, Motrin, none of that would help. None of it would work. So I would just, normally I feel like I couldn't do anything. I would lay with the heating pad for hours and hours and hours. Sleeping at night is usually the first 3 days of my period. I don't really sleep because I'm in so much pain that it doesn't subside. Tried all kinds of meds, but none of them seemed to work. I went through 5 or 6 OBGs and OBGYNs, and none of them could diagnose a problem. They just kept saying, well, everybody's different. All women's periods are different, which, yeah, I know that. Most people know that. Like, I know that everybody's body is different. I understand that everybody's body is different. But I knew in my heart that something was wrong. I knew that it shouldn't be this painful, and it shouldn't hurt this much. So I've been to a handful, and for a while I stopped going. You're supposed to get your, yearly pap smear, but I stopped going because I was too afraid. I was afraid of always getting it's in your head, or everybody's different. Like, your period's just different than other people's. But I knew that all the blood that I was losing, to me, was too much. I thought it was more than most people. And this might be TMI for some people, and that's fine. When I post it, I'll put like a warning, like a TMI warning. But I was losing a lot of blood every month for 7 days. Just recently, the last couple of years, my periods have gone down to 5 days. But those first 3 days are still heavy, heavy flow of blood. And then the next 2 days, it's like I don't even have a period at all. So I can't say recently, I've been down in Monroe now for almost 2 years. And last August, I did a lot of research, and I found an OB that accepted my insurance. And I went online and read review after review after review, and all these reviews, which I do a lot for my doctors because I know that things are going on and nobody wants to believe me. Or they just want to get their money and not care. But I found Dr. Kotz, and she, from day one, has been spectacular. When I went and saw her with my first meeting, the first consultation, the first, appointment, you could even ask my fiance. I came home in tears, and they were happy tears because somebody was finally listening to what I had to say. She was understanding. She knew that, well, then there's a problem. If you're bleeding that much, there's a problem. She understood what I was feeling. I was so happy to find somebody who was actually listening and understanding that something was wrong. So that same day, she gave me a script to get I think it was about 16 or 17 vials of blood taken to run all of my blood, like for thyroid, for any kind of blood disorders, like anything. She ran it for everything. And then she's like, we're going to schedule you an ultrasound. So I did my first ultrasound, and it came back that I have a lot of polyps. I had quite a few. And she's like, well, we need to go and remove those. So I had a DNC. And she removed quite a few polyps. And she's like, the first 2 periods are going to feel like a cakewalk. And she goes, then you'll get a period back, but it won't be the same as before. And I will say, the first 2 periods, I didn't even know they were coming. I didn't even feel them. They were great. And then the third one was rough. But then after that, they were okay. Like, I was still in pain, but I wasn't feeling as much pain. And then I ended up getting a cyst, not this period, but the last one, and I was in excruciating pain. It was terrible. It's the first time I've had a cyst pop since I was probably 17, and it was excruciating. After the DNC and I got the special kind of ultrasound done, I was diagnosed officially, finally, after so many years, with polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS, which to me was gut-wrenching. It was heartbreaking. It was hard to hear, even though for a long time I kind of already knew. But nobody would listen to me. Nobody would help me figure it out. And so I've struggled with this for a long time. And like she said, in that meeting, she told me, she's like, I don't know how anybody missed it. She goes, I knew from your first ultrasound. She even knew before she did the polyp removal. She's like, I knew from your first ultrasound that you had it. She's like, so I don't know how long you've had it, but it's been a while. So it's really hard to hear that I went through all of these doctors and not one found my problem. This disease per se is really, for me, it's really hard to deal with. For anybody that knows me, knows that a dream of mine since I was probably 16 was to get married and have that family. And it's not that I can't, it just makes it harder. And I've been struggling with my own infertility for over 10 years. And it weighs a lot, as you can see. It weighs a lot on my heart because it's one thing I've always wanted to be as a mom. I have the most amazing nieces and nephews. I have the most amazing stepson. And I love them all more than words can say. But I hear about all of my siblings, and especially my sisters, who talk about how great, their pregnancies were and how it's nice to, feel the baby kick and you get to have this special bond with this child that you are growing for 9 months. And I don't want to miss out on that. But I'm trying to be hopeful. I'm trying to have a little faith and kind of like put it in God's hands, but do what I can as well to help out. So I was put on metformin, which is one to help with the PCOS, weight loss, and weight gain. One thing about PCOS that some people don't understand is it causes a lot of weight gain. It's really hard to lose all that weight that you gain. I'm very, very self-conscious, and I don't really like the way that I look, and it's gotten worse with the diagnosis. One thing people also don't understand is you get excessive hair. Like, it grows literally everywhere, even where you don't expect it, it just grows. You get all this hair, and anybody knows me, I don't like hair. I even shave my arms. I don't like hair. If I could go bald, I would, but I would look really funny. But I just want the women to know, like, I understand your pain. I understand the struggle. I understand the hurt that you feel every time that you feel like your period's a week or two late. And then you take that test and you get that negative, and how heart-wrenching and how hurtful and how much pain that is when you look at that negative test. I spent 2 years constantly trying and doing the ovulation tests, and then pregnancy test after pregnancy test getting negatives. It takes a toll, and you feel like you're disappointing everybody, except for everybody in my family is fantastic. And they just want, don't get me wrong, they want me to have kids. They all support it, but they all understand the struggles that I deal with, and they all understand how hard it is for me. And I feel like I'm letting them down, even though I know I'm not. But I know that when I talk about it and I get emotional, that they hurt. And I don't want to see them hurt, but I know that they don't want to see me hurt either. Everybody always asks that question, the one that I don't think, honestly, in my opinion, anybody should ask. You should never ask somebody when they're having kids, because this is sometimes the struggle that they go through, and it's really hard to say, oh, we'll get there, or, someday soon, or it's very hard to hear when people ask you that. A lot of people don't ask me. I don't have that experience, but I have seen people ask those questions, and I don't think you should, because you don't know what somebody's going through at home, in their brain, in their life, to know why they're not having children. We've been asked we've been asked many times, or I've been asked, I'm sorry, if I would adopt. And the answer to that question is 100%. But I want to be, in my brain, I'm 100% in, 110%. Totally in for it. But my heart, because how much I want a child and how hard it is for me, my heart's not completely there. And it's not fair to adopt a child if my heart's not in it. It's not fair to that child who could have a great life. And I'm not saying I wouldn't love that child, because I would. I love children, even when they're not mine. They could be my best friend's kids. And I love them just the same as if they were my own. That's never going to change. But if I were to adopt, I want that child to have all of me, all of that love. And I'm just not there yet. And my fiance told me, he goes, it takes a really strong person to admit that. And it does, because there are some people who get adopted and they go to bad homes because the parents aren't in it. And I want to be 110% in with both my head and my heart, because every child deserves that. There's not one in this world that doesn't deserve that. But I just wanted to, be vulnerable for a moment and let you guys know that you're not alone. Things are just, they can be hard and they can suck in many ways. People can fight invisible battles and you don't even know. I've been fighting with this for a long time, and don't get me wrong, I've been sad for a while, but I try to just keep going, and I keep having hope. And I have the most amazing fiance, because he's so supportive in everything that I do and everything that I want to do. And he's okay if we don't have kids, and he's okay if we do. It doesn't bother him, but he knows how much it hurts me, and I know that it hurts him to see that I'm hurting. And I try to put on that face and be strong around everybody, but I won't lie. It's very hard. It's very hard, especially when you see all these people and all these parents on the news that, have these kids, and then they take advantage of it, and these kids end up dying, and it's not fair, But I know that God has a plan for everyone, and if this isn't his plan, that's okay. I mean, I'm not okay with it, but I know one day I'll get there. I know one day I'll be there. But I just wanted to, I want women and couples to know that you aren't alone. You can always, always reach out to me. It's a very hard subject for a lot of people, and it's not talked about enough. You see all these, couples getting married, and then 6 months after the wedding, they're having babies, or they're getting pregnant, or they're finding out they're pregnant. And it seems so easy for them, but nobody talks about the ones like me and some of you that struggle constantly, or the women who have had many, many miscarriages and are still waiting for their rainbow baby. And it's very hard, and it isn't fun, and miscarriages aren't fun. They're heartbreaking, and they take a little piece of you every time they happen. So kudos to the women who are so strong and who have dealt with more than one and still continue to try, because you are the strong ones. I just want you guys to know you're not alone. It took a lot for me to make this video. I've been wanting to do it for weeks, but I just didn't know how to say it, or how to start it, or what to say. So I hope this helps even just one of you, or even just makes you think about asking that question to people. Don't assume that they want children or that they can have children. But know that if they want them, they are trying. I'm sure they are. Just sometimes it's harder for some of us. I do want to say to my family how much I love you guys and how supportive you guys have always been. To my fiance, you're 1 in a million, and I don't know what I did to deserve you, but I'm so grateful. I just want everybody to know that this isn't against anybody or anything. I know how I feel, and I know that there's a lot of women who feel like they have no one to turn to. because no one's going to understand, because a lot of people do have kids and it's hard to understand not having them. But I want you to know that you're not alone. You can always reach out to me. You can message me. You can comment. Just if you need to, just know that I understand and I am here. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Sorry it was long, but I just wanted to put myself out there a little bit so people understand that they're not alone. Bye.